You don't hate me.
No.
No. See? That's
Great example, Oz.
That's what you're doing with your audience.
I was scared, but great example.
That's what you're doing with your audience, Disney. Stop the tape. It's time for us to shill our Patreon and our Subscribestar. We need money because YouTube hates us. But if you love us and you can afford it, please do send us some Patreon money. Really appreciate it. Thank you very much for bearing with me, and I'm going to just randomly cut away.
Welcome back to The Watch. This topic is going to be a doozy.
Oh boy!
That's all I can really say to start us off with. But in this video, we're going to talk about Lightyear.
Buzz Lightyear.
Yeah, Lightyear movie that's come out recently. And why, Shad, you haven't watched it?
Yes.
And you're not going to?
I'm not going to, but before we go into some of the more, I guess, controversial aspects of everything, if you were to take away the controversy, it's hard to say if this movie would have done better or not. It's pretty much bombing at the box office. There's been controversy around it. Is it due to the controversy, or is it due to that it's just like if we were to pretend there was no controversies regarding this film and you saw the trailer, would you guys have been interested in seeing it?
I was initially, but then I saw the woke crap. I'm like, nah, I'll quit it.
Okay, maybe it is the controversy.
If I see there's... No, it wasn't because of the controversy. I could see in the trailer there's woke crap. I watched the trailer and there's woke crap, and then I'm like, nah, because I already know what's going to happen now.
Yeah, well, this is the thing, the trailer, like, if it didn't have the things that I dislike, one of the big things is not bringing on Tim Allen to voice the role. Like, that alone was enough for me to say, not watching it, which is annoying because the film actually looks kind of cool. I think a more grounded sci-fi, depiction of the Lightyear story has potential. I like the design of the ships, and I'm a sucker for great sci-fi ship designs.
Good vibe.
Some of the reviews I've been told is actually the movie's pretty stale and bland anyway, and that might have thrown me off. But if I didn't have reviews and I just saw those things, I might have been interested in it. But then Disney just loves to shoot themselves in the foot because to virtue signal and all this bullcrap, and they didn't get the iconic voice actor who encapsulates the Buzz Lightyear persona, Tim Allen, to voice the role. And I think it's pretty blatant why they didn't do it. He's a conservative. He has conservative views. He's been cancelled and everything.
He used to be a commie.
Did he?
Yeah. Talked about on Norm Macdonald's podcast.
Oh, really?
Show, yeah.
He's a funny guy. He's great for Buzz Lightyear. That's the voice. And it's just baffling. He's available. You could have the only reason it feels like is ideological, and the bullcrap excuses that they tried to say does not ring true to me at all.
Yeah.
Have you heard some of the excuses that they tried to say?
No, but I'm going to guess it's a younger Buzz Lightyear, so it only sounds younger. That's my guess.
More grounded and realistic. The pitch of this film is that this is the film that Andy watched that the Buzz Lightyear toy is based on. Which for me just doesn't make sense, because the Buzz Lightyear toy is far more cartoonish than this depiction. And when you look at toys of Luke Skywalker, right, the toy, they try and get pretty accurate to the depiction of the film. To me, the Buzz Lightyear toy makes sense to have been based off of the animated cartoon. There's a cartoon Disney made called Buzz Lightyear of Space Command, which, guess what, was actually kind of fun. Like, there's actually some decent fun. There's a female character with blue skin in it, and she's got sass, and she's got...
I watched it growing up a bit. It was good. Not canon now, though.
Not canon, no. And so, Disney, everyone can see your bullcrap. Oh, this is what it's really based on. This is the thing the cartoon, the toy's based on, and that Andy loved, right? People have watched the film, and they're trying to say that this was like the Star Wars of the Toy Story universe, and Andy was in love with this, right?
Well,
but then
not doing well.
People have watched it and said, this isn't Star Wars. This is nowhere, I guess, not as fun as Star Wars. Doesn't have the deep themes like Star Wars.
So Disney, who owns Star Wars, says that this movie is like the Star Wars of that universe, and just like the Star Wars of this universe under Disney, it's flopping. It's like poetry.
Who would have thunk?
Who would have thought, yeah. So their excuses ring hollow, and there are some interesting, parallels with the Buzz Lightyear story to Star Wars. You know, Zurg, I am your father, Buzz Lightyear, no, and stuff like. There's some there, but it's not a huge parallel. But there's small bits here and there. But yeah, the movie is not getting well received. It like has any caliber to classic Star Wars at all. Just like current Disney Star Wars has nothing to the caliber of classic Star Wars either.
In fact, everything that they seem to do in the new stuff they make takes away from the old stuff that they make and ruins it. So.
And honestly, I reckon if Tim Allen just voiced Buzz Lightyear, it probably would still be more enjoyable because he has character and personality. He can bring in humor where it's needed in a better way.
Yeah.
And like it would just be better.
Well, that's the thing.
Nothing
Shad.
like Chris Evans, loved him as Captain America. Doesn't strike me as the Buzz Lightyear. Buzz Lightyear has an interesting seriousness, yet kind of quirky, you know.
Bit of cheese to him,
and Tim Allen just knocked it out of the park with that. Yeah, Chris Evans not doing it at all. So the bias that Hollywood and just, you know, Disney as well have been showing conservative people, they fired Gina Carano, right, for tweets that were nowhere near as problematic as like tweets that Pablo, you know, the guy who played the Mandalorian was making, but because hers might have been construed as somewhat right-leaning or right of the left, and it wasn't even a hot take really. It was like, hey, you're treating people bad and kind of this. I'm paraphrasing her what she said, but you're kind of treating people bad in the same way that the Jews were first started treating bad, in World War II. Not a good thing. That's essentially what she's saying. That was enough to get a kiss. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So the bias is despicable. There is the ideological left has overtaken Hollywood,
Every institution,
and
every single
Disney.
institution, every single one.
So I was saying that it was proven that Hollywood and Disney have been completely, overtaken by extreme ideologues and stuff, and people get conservatives are getting blacklisted. The thing with Tim Allen is just another one, and I can't stand it. I can't friggin' stand it. There's only a few things trying to push back, like, Daily Wire, they rehired Gina Carano and stuff. That alone makes me not want to give Disney my money. And there are some things in which we review out of, I feel, a necessity to call out their bullcrap. I'm not gonna watch Buzz Lightyear. I'm not gonna review it. There are many things that I might have been interested in, but because of the crap that's going on, don't deserve your money.
They don't need our money.
It'll only for so far. It's a house of cards that they're building for themselves. All right, so there is another aspect to the Buzz Lightyear thing that, of course, should be addressed because it's been a big part, and that is the wokeness in the film, exemplified by the gay kiss in it. All right. There is debate and discussion as to how appropriate and inappropriate it is and everything. Chris Evans has come out and been calling people who have objection to it idiots. What was the full thing that he said? You heard it before, Oz.
Every time there's been social advancement as we wake up, the American story, the human story, is one of constant social awakening and growth. And that's what makes us good. So there you go. He's framed it.
What did I...
Progressivism is what makes you good. So progressivism is moral good. That's how he frames it.
I just can't believe how uninformed this is in regards to the larger context of history. The human story is one of constant social awakening and growth.
No.
Look at World War II. Really?
Yeah.
There were times of horrible social corruption that made things incredibly worse. And him thinking that the evolution of society is always positive, and it's like, do you know history?
Yeah, especially since the bad guys basically won the Enlightenment, because it was Nietzsche versus Kant and Marx.
Yeah, look at communist Russia.
Yeah, that's what I say, Marx and Kant.
Unbelievable death on a scale that has it ever been matched? The amount of human life lost?
No, communism, apart from disease and warfare, is probably natural causes is like the leading cause of.
It's unbelievable, yeah. But it's all positive growth. The human story. Okay, but he's obviously looking at this in an ultra progressive lens. That all the progressive social pushes in modern day is like, no.
He's literally just framed morality. The side of good is entirely progressivism is the side of good. That's what he just said.
Yeah, and look, Chris Evans and a lot of other Hollywood, actors are massive ideologues. I can separate the art from the artist to a much further level than the left can, obviously, because I can still enjoy his depiction of Captain America. I love Captain America. Okay. And even Chris being this massive ideologue, I can still enjoy it. So I wonder if it could be pushed so far that it might even sour me on his performance. But I don't know. Because I'm human. I have my limits. I do believe in separate the art from the artist, but...
I'm numb to it at this point.
You're numb to it?
I expect it.
So... Buzz Lightyear was banned in certain Middle Eastern countries because of the progressive kiss.
And Asian countries.
And Disney, I don't think this is virtuous on their behalf. It's just so they don't look like massive hypocrites because they've been getting called out on it again and again.
They probably planned it, all of these controversies, marketing runs, leaks, all of that. They do it themselves.
Well, it hasn't worked out for them because Buzz Lightyear is just not making money.
Yeah.
Okay, and so they're virtue signaling, saying we will keep the gay kiss in, and one of the few times they do it, because usually they do edit films, they took out the homosexual kiss in Rise of Skywalker for Chinese audiences and stuff. There was at the very end in the celebration, there's 2 women kissing in it. You missed it?
I don't think I made it very far through that movie anyways. I was quite, by the end, I was quite red-faced and angry.
Were they black lesbians?
No, I don't think so.
No? Okay, because I wouldn't understand why they take it out for China.
I don't think it was representative enough. I'm offended by it. It should have been disabled, trans, black lesbians.
Disabled, trans, black lesbians.
Who were also...
What happened to past Metal Gear?
That's where it'll go to. And if you think there aren't people unironically saying, oh, not diverse enough, it goes that far. It goes that far. So... They kept the kiss in, and it has been banned and those other things, so it isn't making as much money because it's not wider appeal. The thing is, though, I think there is a conservative Christian response to not wanting to see this movie. Yes, because of not only the Tim Allen thing, but because of the gay kiss. And I think I can understand that perspective, being very conservative Christian as well.
Yeah, well, it's simple, right? What percentage of people are what percentage of parents, rather, are very conservative? All right. What percentage of parents are gay or in a same-sex relationship or trans? Very small percentages, right? What percentage of parents don't like any of that? Like the majority of parents are conservative. Becoming a parent, usually by nature, makes you conservative.
It's interesting. There's some truth to what you're saying there, Oz.
So do you think parents are going to take their kids to this? No.
But also, it's just the nature. Even if you don't have any kind of Christian objection to homosexual lifestyles and stuff like that, okay? Exposing young children to the complex discussions and natures of different sexual attractions and stuff like that, they're kids. They shouldn't even be thinking about this stuff, right? And it goes into the nature versus nurture argument. I mentioned even in a recent video, there's new evidence out, okay, where the percentage rates of people adopting same-sex attraction and gender dysphoria in ultra, progressive, extreme left households, everything, is crazy higher than other households.
Yep.
Crazy higher. And if it's all nature and not nurture, that should not exist. But it shows you that nurture actually does play a very large component in how people develop in their sexual attraction and their gender identity.
Okay, so we've got the causation, but what's the correlation between the same-sex thing and nature versus nurture? Why is there a skew?
Well, we see parents actively going out of the way to encourage same-gender attraction. We see it's like my son was playing with a Barbie doll. And I'm not kidding. It goes to that basic level. It's like, you must be thinking... And they push it. They actually push it. You can look into a lot of accounts. And it goes into some interesting things that we have brought up in previous videos, like our Wheel of Time coverage, right? Where I said a basic truth about straight people. And it's that straight men, find gay sex repulsive. People accuse me of being homophobic and saying, and I'm like, hang on. How is that homophobic if you're okay with the reverse, is that gay people can very well find straight sex repulsive?
And to any reasonable person, that is a decent demonstration of there is a hypocrisy there.
Exactly.
But they don't, like, not only do they not care, but they've literally said, oh, you're doing that thing where you compare one thing that I've said to flipping it around to be more like your side. Like, come on, that right-wing hypocrisy stuff. They don't care.
They actively despise logical consistency
Yeah.
because it proves them being hypocrites. And this is the thing. There is an active type of shaming happening in society against straight people, all right? Where they were calling me homophobic, trying to shame me and tell me I hate homosexual people because I stated a basic truth about straight people, all right? And it doesn't go in reverse. And so there is this shaming against straightness that we see and this celebration of homosexuality. And so where is the skew? Where is the push in where they think one is better than the other? And if they're about equality, it should be the same. From a Christian perspective, they obviously feel that heterosexual attraction is the preferable one because primarily the family being able to have children with your partner, like actually having to produce offspring with the partner you love, is only biologically possible in heterosexuality.
Technically, they can make a baby between just two women.
Can they? I haven't seen
the science is they take the nucleus from one woman.
Yeah, but it doesn't happen in a natural way.
Not a natural way. No.
Yeah, of course. Okay, and the natural way is the thing that obviously informs a lot of Christian belief. It has a very large influence, that biological fact and truth, in our religion, being members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
To play not devil's advocate, but to say what they would say, they'd bring up like IVF as an example. Oh, is that? Are they any less? That's what they would say.
Yeah, but again, it's like it's a far more difficult way to bring children into the world than the normal way humans have been doing it for all of history. Okay.
Well, every single animal. Apart from the ones that can change their gender by will.
The point that I'm saying here is if they want to have a bias that they want to celebrate homosexuality, then they should understand that if someone has a bias for celebrating heterosexuality, shouldn't that be equivalent? But you'd understand, no, their bias is what they think one is wrong. But it exists on both sides, and I wanted to just point that out, right? So there is more evidence about nurture being a larger component. I'm not saying that there are a decent number of people which nurture has no impact on, and the born that way argument actually might have some validity. I actually don't know enough science, but I'm willing to happily acknowledge that, because this is the thing. If any of my children, after they grow up, they're like, when they're young, it should be pretty much impossible for young children to even be questioning these things because they aren't fully developed, their brains haven't fully developed. And if they're talking about these things, it's because it was injected into their, awareness by the outside world. And that can have interesting effects on their upbringing. And Christians are a bit defensive about what children get exposed to because they want to raise their children... Parents. They want to raise their children in the way that would give greatest likelihood towards the life that they feel would give them the most happiness, all right?
Simply put, they want kids to be kids.
Yes.
And
exposing them to things that are of a more adult nature. And I'm not talking about explicit, I'm talking about just in nature of discussion. It takes a complex, perspective to understand. We don't want kids exposed to those things, all right? And so injecting things like homosexual kisses and stuff into children's media, I have a problem with, and Christians generally have a problem with as well. I'll be talking about with my kids as they grow up and mature about all the aspects of life, and it's just that's the role of the parent, all right?
It's funny you mentioned that, Shad. Mm-hmm. An experience where I went to a game history museum. Mm-hmm. Game, not gay. Okay. I've got to call it a game history museum. History. And they were showing the history of games and how they developed and changed. And they had a scene with Last of Us Part 2 where there's the gay kiss. And there was this dad and his daughter watching this whole game history video going, well, that was Pong back in the day. I played with my dad. And it ends with that scene. And he just grabs her, comes around and goes, Dad, I didn't want to have this conversation with you right now. You're 4 years old.
Yes!
We're talking about games and all of a sudden this thing comes on the screen.
Because guess what? Most children, that's like, what?
Yeah.
Okay. Like, I remember...
That poor dad, afterwards I saw him talk to his wife to say, we're watching this show and now I have to have a conversation with our daughter about this thing. It wasn't at all what he wanted to do at the time. And that experience took the control away from him. I reckon in the future, he would have that conversation with his daughter saying...
Yes.
About this, but instead now it's been...
And any responsible parent is going to have that conversation, but they want control over when it's introduced, not give it to Hollywood. That's why there's the resentment pushback about this Buzz Lightyear thing. This is a show that's made for kids, And it's like Hollywood trying to say, we're going to teach your kids what we think the world should be like and what is appropriate and everything. And it's like if, let's put it in reverse, right? A lot of progressives would cry bloody murder if there was like a progressive view, like say a statement that there are only two genders or something like that. The friggin' pitchforks that would come out, right? Yet, again, hypocrisy, they will not allow, the opposite side any objection to worldviews that are being thrust upon them that they disagree with. Because their worldview is the correct one, so therefore that one must be the one that is protected and promoted, and any objection to it is idiocy, as Chris Evans says.
And no, not just that. Any objection to progressivism, by the way he framed it...
is immoral.
Not just immoral, is the evil. He says that progressivism is the good.
So... you wonder why there's been a backlash against Buzz Lightyear, and why, yes, myself as a Christian, I'm not going to let my kids watch it.
Also, I have family who went and saw the movie, and they said it added nothing to the story or elements of anything.
Injected purely for political propaganda.
Such a throwaway moment. When it happened, they went, well, that had nothing to do with anything.
Yeah. And let me just be... like, we believe in being completely upfront and honest, and if you disagree with us, it's prerogative, and even if you disagree with me, I can get along with people who disagree with me. I don't care if you're gay, straight, whatever, all that stuff, okay? But nurture does have a significant impact on children's upbringing, okay? Now, if there's nothing that I can do that will change the way my children identify when they grow up, I will love them no matter what, okay? But if there's anything within my power which can guide them, I'm going to take that power and try and guide and nurture them to the upbringing that I feel is best. That's my prerogative as a parent, it's my right as a parent. And then if there's a nature thing in which my child, like, they are who they are, I will love them and accept them, all right? But there's that moment in which things are in my control, in which nature might have a role to play, and therefore I have the right as a parent to try and influence and guide my children the way I see fit.
I want to go back to what you said, Nathan, about it just, your family members went and saw it and it came up on screen and, they were like, okay, that's in there. You guys have seen the movie Inception, right?
Yeah.
That movie is actually about making movies. Do you know that?
No, I didn't.
The movie's about making movies. Like, you've got the actor, Tom Hardy, who can change his face. You've got the architect, set dressing, all that sort of stuff. You've got Cobbs, who's the director and writer. And the audience member is Cillian Murphy. They're the person that's trying to implant an idea in his mind, right? And they go through all these levels to do it. Christopher Nolan talked about this. They say in the movie, we have to be subtle about it. We have to go deep. We have to go to the simplest form of the idea. The simplest form of the idea is to not even tell you, here's an idea. It's to show you an image.
Yeah.
Because we see images and symbols more than we see words or...
yeah, that comes up in what's so-called subliminal advertising.
Exactly. It's not that it's purposeless, and it's not just because of politics. It's literally to plant an idea in your mind.
They want to shift the Overton window, change the perception of what is accepted or normal in society. That's the whole purpose behind it.
Yeah.
And like with Chris was basically saying that was him showing this is the world now. I was like, hang on, no, it's not. There's a large portion of the world that is not on board with this ideology. But the very fact that he's trying to portray a world that you're all idiots if you're not on board with this. You're back in the caveman era.
Yeah. Those people will die off like dinosaurs. A big bloody meteor killed dinosaurs. Yeah. I think what you meant to say is those people will die off like the kulaks in Russia. Yeah. That's what you meant to say, Chris Evans.
But no, this is the thing. Christianity is here to stay. All right. You do need to learn to get along.
We're here to the end.
Yeah.
We even managed to get to Clandathu, okay? Which we should have surveyed the planet before we got there. We didn't know bugs were there. I don't know why we set up a Port Joe Smith there without surveying the planet. We should have been careful. But we're going to be there in every sci-fi setting. We're there in the future.
So we're talking about Mormons now. You can't get rid of us.
Yeah.
You just know to remember, though, if they say Joe Smith, that's it's not a member that wrote that.
How about that Joe Smith and them angels? You know what that's from, don't you?
What's that from?
So the church has made movies and stuff, and that's from one of the church movies. But it comes from written records and other things. Going back to the fundamental thing, all right? Yes, parents are going to raise their kids as they see it. If they don't want them exposed to stronger concepts about sexual attraction, stuff like that, Yeah, and it's going to be different between household. Like obviously, children that are raised with a mother and father, that's their natural understanding of. They don't even have a deep understanding. Just mummy and daddy, they like to kiss now and then. That's probably as far as it goes. But when they see anyone other types of kissing, they go, huh? And parents, if they have the prerogative to try and introduce it to their children when they see it's appropriate, not when Hollywood sees it's appropriate. But it goes the same with homosexual households. Like if a child raised in a homosexual household probably gets confused with a straight kiss, those parents get to raise their kids how they want, and that's just the nature of life.
And even then, like, kids naturally, like, think about what'll happen in school. Sarah has 2 mommies, stuff like that. That stuff will happen in schools because kids say the darndest things.
I mean, well, I got teased for being a Mormon,
And your nose, don't forget.
And my nose.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But what did you do in response when you got pushed too far?
Oz has I got in fights.
I could have got out of that headlock. I could have if I was covered in grease. I slipped out like a baby.
Stand your ground. Hold to your principles.
Yeah.
So there we go. That is the Buzz Lightyear. It reflects on the sad state of the world, the intolerance of the world, and people. And that's the thing. It's like Christians are intolerant for not. It's like. No, it's the same if you don't want if ultra progressive people don't want their kids going to watch things that have Christian messages and all those things, goes both ways. So if you want to make something that caters to the wide audience.
Yeah, but they would bring up the tolerance-intolerance dichotomy they'd say the opposite of what we say is you shouldn't be intolerant of intolerant people. That's what they would say. Shouldn't that just teach Christians then to be intolerant of you because they look at you as intolerant? That's the whole point.
It just makes the world more divided. This is what Chris Evans is doing. And this is where, if it keeps going this way, there is no peaceful outcome.
Between 2 groups of people who wish to make inconsistent worlds, I see no remedy but force. Who said that? I don't remember, but someone said it.
I was just quoting someone. We're not encouraging violence or anything like that. In fact, what I'm encouraging is to not push things in people's faces that they like. This is what my approach to a lot of missionary work in terms of the gospel. Like, do I make videos trying to push? I talk about it when it comes up naturally, but I don't get out of my way saying you must accept this and force it in people's faces. I say this is part of who I am. It comes up naturally. If you don't like it, you don't have to watch it. I perfectly understand that. That's your prerogative. I'm not going to say you're intolerant for not doing it.
And it's also not anything that happens out of malice. It's like you said, right? Straight people, heterosexual people find homosexual sex disgusting, right? Now, disgust response is important. It's a completely unconscious thing, and I can prove it, right? You don't hate me?
No.
See?
Great example, Oz.
That's what you're doing with your audience.
I was scared, but great example.
That's what you're doing with your audience, Disney. There you go.
Even I.
Yeah. Shad's like, oh no,
because he's
Oz cooties.
Because he's had 5 kids. He's the straightest as they get. That's. If he were any straighter, he'd be an arrow.
So look, I'm interested. A comment might be an absolute dumpster fire in this video. But we still appreciate you.
When are they not a dumpster fire?
Well, no, sometimes our comments are really, really good. We'll see. We'll get to see. Let us know what you think in the comments below.
Or not. You don't have to. We're not forcing you.
And until next time, stay watchful.